Hello viewers, Super GT here. I'm finally back. It's been a couple of weeks without a video, but I returned to Gran Turismo Sport to do a couple of Group 3 races at Kyoto. Now the funny thing about this session was that I'd eventually go up against the world's best player, Valerio Gallo, otherwise known as B Racer. Now for those of you who don't know who this guy is, he actually won this year's Nations Cup, and that for me makes him the world's best player on Gran Turismo. The session will actually begin many hours before, and actually the day before. We're going to jump into a couple of races here before we'd later go on to race against Valerio. But of course, it's been a few weeks since I last played the game, so I need to get back into the swing of things. Need to find my form, rediscover my mojo, which I might not have even had in the first place. But let's jump back in. So let's give some background to this race. It's daily race B, so it's going to last just under 8 minutes, 5 laps of the Kyoto circuit, and we are driving the Toyota Supra, which is very much an OP car in Group 3 around a lot of circuits, this circuit included. And we've qualified 4th for this one. And down the bottom of this hill we have what can only really be described as the chicane of cutting the grass, really. The chicane of lawnmowers, I don't know what you want to call it, but we have lots of varied chicanes in Gran Turismo. The chicane of death being one of the most famous, or infamous if you like. But this one here is a very weird chicane which requires a lot of grass cutting. This guy is going to do a bit of grass cutting and go into the barrier, or barrier if you like, and I'm going to move up into 3rd. You see quite a big gap already between myself and 2nd place, which I would have to try to reel in over the course of the 4 remaining laps in this race. And the guy in front has a half a second penalty, which you can just see there. So that's going to increase my chances of trying to catch up. Should make it a little bit easier. It's not going to serve it there. There are 2 penalty lines on this track. We do have to, for the moment, just worry about this guy trying to re-overtake us. So we cover the inside, and there's not much you can do around the outside there. So one more overtaking opportunity here. Again, he doesn't really quite go for it. So we're just going to take the racing line and then try to streak clear. Just taking a quick look behind, braking just on the beginning of that curve on the left. I go a little bit wide, but we do eventually meet quite a late apex. So sat here in 3rd, and now we're going to come through this stupid chicane, this chicane of stupidity, if you like. Coming through here, actually not cutting the grass too much. You see there's some tyre marks on the grass though. So the guy in front serves the penalty. He's going to lose a fair chunk of time because you serve it just as you go up the hill, so it's kind of a bad place to serve it really, as gravity is not on your side. So we sat here just under a second behind, need to get a few more tenths to get within the suction zone, and he drives a little bit wide there and he gets another penalty, and that's very easy to do, as he's kind of proven. 2 out of 2 for him. He's going to serve the penalty on the main straight this time. I'm not sure what the difference was. Maybe he must have got it for something else on the first time around. But you can see now we're in with a shout of getting 2nd place with still 3 laps left to go. So actually this is not turning out to be too bad. I just want to say I will go through a bit of a talk at the end of the video about how the year has gone, because this is going to be my final video of the year of 2021, and you know, it's been a crazy year. It's been a very, very good year, but 2022 is set to be an even bigger year, of course, with Gran Turismo 7 on the horizon. So lots of big things coming up, let's put it that way. And I will be getting back into live streaming. I'm sure many of you will be happy to hear that, but I just want to make sure I do it properly. Not that I wasn't doing it properly before, but you know, I just want to do it properly. Right, where are we? We are in Kyoto on lap 3, that's where we are. Coming down the hill, this bit is very tricky to get dead right, having to have a slight lift to make sure we don't get a penalty on that bottom curb there. And then into the final corner, really just trying to set ourselves up for a move into turn 1. Probably a little bit too far away at this point in time, but he drives a little bit too wide there onto the grass. And we can tuck into the slipstream and try to reel him in and get a little bit closer. Getting into the 31s on that time, on that lap. Lap 3 there. 2 laps left to go to try to get past him. We haven't really got that close to him at any point in this race. Not really close enough to overtake anyway. So I do need to put him under a little bit more pressure. Try to get that a little bit closer because we are running out of time. To be fair though, this track it is quite good for overtaking. There's a fair amount of places that you can overtake. So it's not going to be an impossible task. Dropping down the hill then, as we go over the crest here, into the silly chicane. And we're going to see if we can get a good run. It's not really about getting a move on the way in, it's more about getting a good run. If anything, he gets a better run than I do. As we ascend the hill for the 4th time. First place looking very comfortable. Good couple of seconds in the lead there, so I think they are fairly safe with the race victory unless they do something incredibly stupid in the remaining 1.2 laps of the race. So coming down the hill then, again just trying to set yourself up for a decent exit off of this section here. Could have gone for the move, maybe it would have been a bit of a lunge because there's not much of a braking zone for that corner. You do just kind of throw it in and then pivot mid-turn. But here we go, are we going to be close enough coming into the first corner? He's not going to defend it. And we're going to go late on the brakes, dive down the inside, meet the apex, park it on the apex. And there's no chance for him to undercut me on the way out. So we're up into second. So that's a fairly textbook move. He made it fairly easy, didn't really cover it off at all. But we did manage to judge it to perfection and not overcook it, which is very easy to do in that situation. But now it's roles reverse, have to try to keep the lead. Well, the lead against him, not the lead of the race, of course. So we've got half a lap left to try to keep him at bay. Coming down here, I know it's not really an overtaking opportunity, so I'm just going to try and focus on taking my line and getting a good exit all over the curbs, as you can see. Perhaps could take a bit more grass, if anything. And then you see there, he gets a really good run. I'm going to cover the right-hand side, which turns into the inside for this long right-hander at the top of the hill. And there's not really any way around for him there. So just trying to make sure we do not give any gaps on the exit of the corner. He's still very close. He's still got two opportunities into the final corner and then out of it with a drag race to the line. So he can still overtake me in 2 more ways. I don't think he's quite close enough to go for that move, so we're not going to cover it off. We're going to focus on getting a good exit here off of the final corner. And a decent exit, maybe a 6 out of 10, could have been a bit better. Because as you can see, he's going to tuck into the slipstream. He gets a better exit side by side over the line, and it's a second. He was very close, very, very close, within a 10th, about 3/4 of a 10th. But we do secure the second place, up from 4th, up 2 positions. That's a good start to this daily race. We're going to quickly whip through a couple more races, very quickly though, just to show you the difficulty perhaps of starting 4th. I think I do need to improve my qualifying. So there we drive a little bit wide, get some dirty tyres. You go onto the grass a little bit too much, then you just have no grip for the subsequent couple of corners. As you can see, really struggling there. I do manage to get this move done though on the Spaniard to retake 4th. So you can see here he's a little bit passive on the inside. Just allows me to drive clean around the outside. And if you can keep it there side by side on the exit, it does give you the inside for turn 2 as we go here. So regaining 4th. By the end of this race, I had decent speed, and as you can see, I managed to catch back up to 3rd. And we're going to try and go for the move here as we drag race to the line in the slipstream. I don't think it's quite going to be enough, but it is very close as we finish the race. In this one, this was the following day, so a couple more players had signed in by this point. starting 6th position with the same lap time. This guy just disappears off to the right-hand side, never to be seen again. I'm not sure exactly where he went there. So obviously Kyoto having a bit of a Bermuda Triangle moment. So the leader there, falling victim to that chicane. So I guess it is a chicane of death in some way. This is the beginning of lap 4, P4, setting the fastest lap there on lap 3. By the end of the race, I was slowly catching up with this battle for the lead. You see just how close it was between the three of them, almost side by side as they crossed the line. But I just couldn't quite get up to them. It's quite frustrating. It basically told me I needed to improve my qualifying because I'm starting a little bit too far back. I'm starting in 6th place. It's very difficult to win an 8-minute race from 6th place. You're gonna have to rely on a fair amount of luck. On this one, I managed to get up the inside of the Portuguese driver. Then I caught up with 3rd and 4th, and we got isolated in a 3-way battle for 3rd as the top 2 began to drive away. Now, this was my attempt to get into 4th. This is my first attempt. So he covers the inside, and I perhaps could have gone to the inside there, but I tried to go around the outside. It's almost impossible to go around the outside of this corner. These long 180-degree corners, very difficult to get an outside move done. But I'm about to prove myself wrong, because here we do a different strategy. What you want to do is try to keep them as narrow as possible for as long as possible. So I'm just going to stay on the left, stay on the left, stay on the left, and at the last moment move over to the right, and you get a big separation between the two of you. And he's forced to go in very slow, very narrow, whereas I could swing out and get a better line, a wider line, and then boom, you get the move done. So there is a way to get the outside move done. It just requires you positioning the other car, getting the other car to stay narrow. So there is an art to it to some extent, but it does also require a bit of the other player has to go along with it in a way. So they could just run you wide. So that one, we finished 4th, another side-by-side finish across the line. But so we finished 4th a couple of times, finished 2nd once, which isn't as good as I would have liked. I did notice that the guy in 2nd there finished the race he competed that race in the Toyota FT1. So I thought, let's mix things up a little bit and give that car a go. Another Toyota, it's a car I haven't driven in a while. But we are going to give it a go and just see how it performs. Now this car for me has always been one that's good handling wise, but it doesn't have the best straight line speed. You see, after 3 laps I wasn't really decent on pace. I was still half a second off. So I went onto the leaderboard, watched the number 1 time, which happens to be Valerio Gallo, the guy we mentioned in the intro. And there's a couple of things you can learn from the way he drives. Obviously there's a lot of grass use. That's just half of the course in Gran Turismo. It's kind of silly, that's how it is, but don't blame the player, blame the game. He's just playing the game with what's allowed, and that is allowed. It's just how it is. So very smooth, very tight line through that exit of the final corner actually. And it's my turn to try to poorly replicate what he just did. So we're just getting a bit more comfortable with using the grass. As silly as it looks, that's just how it is. So here, just getting a bit more familiar, if you like. 2 wheels on the curb, 2 on the grass. Just really narrowing the line through that corner, and then try to take a slightly narrow line through the final turn. And already by my 2nd lap, I was able to beat my previous fastest lap that I set in the Toyota Supra. So that's a good sign. That's a good sign. The fact that we can go quicker in this car, or at least just match our time in the previous car. I did have a little session there, as you can see, went slightly quicker again and set a fair amount of consistent laps. But this is the point where we join the race against the world's best Gran Turismo player, Valerio Gallo, B racer. There he is on pole position. He won this year's Nations Cup, which is an individual championship. And he did a very good job winning that. He's been in very good form in the last couple of years on Gran Turismo. Coming 2nd to Michael Hazal in 2020, which is no bad thing. You see here at the end of lap 1, he's just beginning to drive away already. Now, even when you're in 2nd place, you have the slipstream. but he actually just beginning to drive away very quickly, such as how quick he is. He made a bit of a mistake there on the exit of the first corner, and then if we take a look here, he actually has a 1.5 second penalty. So he's obviously pushing the limits, and he did it a little bit too much on one of those corners, and he's now going to have to serve a 1.5 second penalty, which is actually quite a big penalty because he's going to have to serve at the bottom of the hill after the stupid chicane here. But this is where things begin to unravel for second and third. This was kind of a weird moment, as you can see here. So second and third both just drive very wide into the wall, visit our good friend Barry R, and I go immediately up into second, couple that with Valerio serving his penalty, and boom, I'm immediately into a dogfight with the world's best player. It's kind of a weird situation to be in, but here we are. So he wiggles his wheels, and that declares the beginning of hostilities between the two of us. Not that I'm going to stand a huge chance of coming out on top, but the main advantage I have, I suppose, is the fact that we have the slipstream, and maybe not that it would really faze him too much because he's competed in the World Championship and won it, but maybe he's aware that he's on video right now, and that could put him off. I know that some people, when I've been live streaming, they see that they're on the stream in front of me, and then they get a little bit nervous, but I'm going to assume that's not going to faze him. I'm just going to say he's just going to drive this how he knows to drive. He's a very, very competent driver, but he's actually making a fair few mistakes here, more than I would have expected, because even with the slipstream, as we go into the back of him there, just give him a bit of a warning shot. Didn't really mean to do that, just having to back off, just let him go into the lead. So even with all the laps he's done, very competent player, just making a couple of mistakes here, more than I would have expected. Just carrying a lot of speed through the chicane. Look at that. He doesn't get the best of exits, but you're always learning whenever you're racing someone who's very, very quick at the game, or even in real life as well. You're always just trying to pick up as many tips as you can and as many references, because yes, we watched the replay. We watched his replay earlier in this video of his fastest lap, and it's always good to watch replays, but if you can race directly against someone who's very quick, that always helps. Just to be able to see them do what they do best live is always a good thing, and that is a very bad thing. So I was just overthinking this whole situation, so I was trying to say that he was nervous, possibly, and then I just go and do that. Stupid mistake. I eventually finished the race in fourth. So it ended quite disappointingly, and then he actually reminded me that I had one job, and I completely failed. But we joined back for the next race, and this was going to be an amazing race, guys. So make sure you stick around for this, because he swapped his car. He went for the Nissan GTR, and this kind of levels up the race a little bit here, because I'm in the FT1. The FT1 is the car that Valerio set the fastest time in the world around this track with. So he's gone with a car that isn't the best car, and he's gone with a car that really isn't the best at handling. It's a very good straight line speed car, the Nissan GTR, but it's a bit chunky, it's a bit blocky, a bit heavy, but it's now my job to try to beat him, if at all possible. It won't be easy, it never will be, even if they do have a bit of a car disadvantage. But we're going to do our best here. So you see here, he has a bit of an issue through that chicane, because that car just isn't the best handling wise. And this is the kind of corner where you can catch him up through these long sweepers. The Nissan GT are not the best through that kind of corner. You see there just how much we gain on the way in. We're just able to carry so much more speed in the FT1. And it's down this chicane as well, down this winding section down the hill, where I'm also able to gain quite easily. So he actually has to brake slightly. You do not have to brake in the Toyota FT1 or the Supra down that section, but he's having to brake in that car, such as the straight line speed and the lack of handling. So he tried to go around the outside there, he covered the inside, he was aware of the threat that could have gone up the inside, he covers it off. So into the slipstream, you can see here, even with the slipstream, I'm not really able to catch up, and he moves to the outside, could have gone for a big lunge there. But you see just how comfortable he was with the idea that I couldn't really go for a move there. It would have been a bit far back. to go for it. So we're going to play this one patient. Still 4 laps left to go. So there's no need to rush anything at this point in time. He keeps a narrow line off of that corner, try to minimise the slipstream for me. I'm going to try to maximise it by following him the best I possibly can. So now driving down towards the chicane. Now, based on lap 1, this is going to be where he struggles. So we're going to try and gain as much time as possible on the way out of this section. As we do, we definitely gain throughout that corner. He's going to get a good run on the uphill ascent here. Well, obviously it's an uphill ascent, because if it's a downhill ascent, then it's not an ascent, it's a descent. So I'm just talking a load of nonsense here by this point. Now this is where we go over the crest into the downhill descent, and again he was weak through this section, not having to brake on that occasion, but definitely having to lift. And you see just how much we gain. He covers the inside, and there's no way for me really to get a move done there. It's either stay behind him or go to the outside. It's going to be very difficult to go around the outside. So here I'm going to go narrow. Remember in the previous race we did manage to go around the outside of someone by keeping them narrow for quite a long time. I didn't quite get my timing correct, and it wasn't quite possible. I think it would have been possible to go around the outside of him, but I just didn't quite time my movement to the outside to swing back. I didn't quite time it correctly. So we've still got 3 laps left to go. We can still get past him. It's not going to be easy, especially with the straight line speed advantage that he has. I do have the handling advantage, but it's very difficult sometimes to get close enough into the corners where it really matters. As you can see here, he just drives away on the straight section, down the hill. Let's try and get a good exit here, cutting the grass. He's getting better and better with every lap. I'm sort of hypothesizing the idea that he's not totally familiar with this car around this track, and therefore the longer we get into this race, the more he's getting familiar with it, and he's adjusting quickly, he's learning quickly how to drive this car around this track, and he's technically going to get stronger and stronger as this race goes on. So I can't wait too long. Ideally I need to get past him as soon as I possibly can to turn it into a different kind of race. He's going to move very quickly over to the right hand side, break the slipstream slightly, and not quite close enough to go for this move into turn 1. So he's driving well, he's under pressure, he's making the right decisions, he's blocking when he needs to, he's not defending when he doesn't need to. But we're going to whip out the classic old Verstappen move here and just go nice and late on the brakes and just dive towards the apex. And to be fair to him, he turns away from it to avoid the carnage, because if that was anyone else, I don't think they would have been so nice. I think that would have been a collision. So he was playing ball there. I went in with a very big lunge, very late lunge, and he was overly respectful of it, if anything. But there you go. He lives to fight another day. We're in the lead now. We're going to cover the inside. We don't quite have the straight line speed. You can see him on the radar, very, very close behind, in tow. But I have 1 lap left to go to try to beat Valerio Gallo. I don't think this situation is really ever going to come up very many times. But we're going to do our best here. Down the bottom of the hill. Is he close enough to go for this move? I don't think so. We're going to take the racing line. This is going to be very difficult to keep him at bay here, because that GTR is going to have very good straight line speed on the main straight now. So we're going to come down here for the final time, or the full length of the straight for the final time. So he's getting very close. He moves to the outside. We're going to move along with him to make sure he doesn't go around the outside. We brake a little bit too late, and he just nips underneath on the way through. So that was a slight mistake on my part, but this is the thing with the best players. If you give them even just an inch to go into, even if it's just an inch enough, they will take that space, they will take that opportunity. So you can't give these kind of players any sort of chance. Otherwise they're going to be good enough, they're going to be good enough to take it. He goes a little bit narrow into that corner. Drag race now down the hill towards the stupid chicane. GTR comes out on top. We're gonna have to try to get a good exit here to get this position back. It's not going to be easy. So you can see they're struggling through the corner. Going to move to the right hand side. He moves to the right hand side to cover it off. Nothing I can do about that. top of the hill in the slipstream again. He moves to the inside, and it's going to have to be the long way round, if anything. So 1 or 2 more opportunities left to try to get past him, to try to get back past him. As he covers the inside here, I know that his car's fairly weak down this section. I'm going to keep it very close in tow. He's going to cover the inside. He knows that I could have gone for that very late lunge, especially on the final lap, final corner. You're much more likely to go for a move. But coming off of the final turn at the end of the race, it's going to be a second place. The GTR's just got too much speed in a straight line. Funky little brake check on the line, but it's all good fun there. And we finish in second. And to be honest, it would have been an amazing finish to try to actually beat him there. It's just that one little mistake I made going into turn 1 at the beginning of lap 5. And we finished in second. But it was an honour. It was just an honour to be able to race against him and have a really good race. So really enjoyed it. Hope you've enjoyed it. And I hope you've enjoyed the videos and some live streams earlier in the year, 2021. Now, this is going to be my final video of 2021. So I just want to say right now, a huge thank you to everyone who's supported me, supported this channel throughout the year. It's been a really good year. I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it. We've done some amazing things with the karting, with driving a Formula 1 car on a kart track, everything with Quadrant, driving the Abu Dhabi circuit. There's so many things we've done. Driving an Extreme E car, I will release that video at some point. But there's been a lot of really cool things. But 2022 is going to be a much bigger year. Gran Turismo 7 is going to come out. We're going to do lots more things in real life as well. And I am going to jump back into live streaming properly. Not just one-offs, just actually properly doing it. So I'm sure many of you will be happy to hear that. So I'm looking forward to 2022. It's been a bit of a quiet end to this year. I haven't released a video for 2 weeks. So I do apologise for that. But I do thank you all for bearing with me. And just a big thank you to all of the new fans on the channel. The channel's grown again by nearly 200,000 subscribers this year. It's a really big jump once again. I think next year could be a even bigger jump. I'm just kind of rambling here. I just want to say a massive thank you. I'm really thankful for all of the support. When people say, I watch your videos, they make my day, or anything like that, it's really nice to hear those messages. So I'm very thankful for everyone for supporting the channel. It's been a very good year, but 2022 will be even better. In the meantime, everyone, I hope you've had a great December, great Christmas. If you follow Christmas, that is. Have a great, happy new year, and I shall see you on the other side. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.